So I want to find the limits for this one. If I try, now this is going to infinity, so most rules of limits apply, but the one that doesn't is direct substitution. So what I cannot do to do this one is split up those terms using, I mean, I can technically use the difference law, but that would also have me substituting infinity squared minus infinity, which I cannot do. There's no substituting of infinity, so I can't do that. So instead of trying to do that, what I'll do, so I'm going to put a red X on this. That's not something we can do. So instead, what we will do is factor. So I'm going to put that. So instead, we'll factor. And then we can do a sign analysis on it rather than trying to plug in infinities. So this, we take the limit as x goes to infinity, and we'll just factor x squared minus x. So we get x times x minus 1. And I know it's going to go to infinity because it's a polynomial, and polynomials go to infinity. They don't have any restrictions. They go forever in both directions, left and right. I just need to know if it's going to go up or down at the end. So as x goes to positive infinity, what happens? Well, we can do a sign analysis here, and we say, okay, well, let's plug in a positive number for x. And I get a positive here, and I get a positive minus 1, a big positive, though, because it's a large positive number, because we're going to positive infinity. So a big positive number minus 1 will give me a positive number. So if I multiply a positive by a positive, that means that my answer will be positive. And I know my answer is either positive or negative infinity. So now I know my answer is positive infinity. All right, we're going to do that again, and we're going to factor. So this time we're just going to take the limit as we go to the left. So to negative infinity, same factors. But this time I'm going to plug in a negative number. So plugging in a large negative number, I'll get a negative when I plug it into x. And a negative number minus 1 is going to give me a more negative number. So I get two negatives. When I multiply those together, I get a positive, which means I must be going to positive infinity. All right, let's factor these. And now we have the limit as x goes to infinity. And we'll factor out an x squared, and we have 1 minus x squared left on side the parentheses. So now I'll do my sign analysis, and I can plug in a positive number because this is a positive infinity. So some large positive number squared, or any number squared, is still going to give me a positive. And then plugging in a positive for this x squared, I get 1 minus some large number. So that's going to be a negative. So a positive times a negative gives me a negative, which tells me I'm going to get negative infinity. In D, we have the limit as x goes to negative infinity of the same factors as above. So that's x squared times 1 minus x squared. And now when I plug in my numbers, I'm going to plug in a large negative number. So a negative number squared becomes a positive number. And then I have 1 minus a negative number squared, which means 1 minus some large positive number. So that is negative. And that gives me a negative number when I multiply a positive and a negative. So that tells me I must be going to negative infinity.